When the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund took over Newcastle United in 2021, making the Magpies one of the wealthiest football clubs, many expected the new owners to bring in a new, prosperous, decorated manager to lead the club into their new era. However, everyone was surprised by the path Newcastle took with the appointment of English manager Eddie Howe. To everyone's surprise, Eddie guided the club to Premier League safety after they struggled to escape the relegation zone before his arrival. He then exceeded the expectations and brought Newcastle United to the top in the following season. In today's video, we will discuss the early days of the 45-year-old manager, the struggles he faced in his career, and how he launched Newcastle from the relegation battle to a Champions League spot. But first, before we do get into today's video, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily football content. Eddie was born on November 29, 1977, to his mother Anne Howe and an unknown father in Armsham, United Kingdom. Eddie's love story with the beautiful game started when he was a kid. He grew up in Chesham, a 40-minute drive to Watford's Vicarage Road Stadium. As a child, Eddie and his older brother used to head over there to watch Watford play. His mother Anne juggled several jobs to provide for her children, especially in their father's absence. Still, she noticed her son's passion for football and stepped into the goalkeeper role as she watched Eddie and his brothers battle it out. At the age of 10, the Howe family moved to Bournemouth, and this is when little shy Eddie finally joined Roscoff Football Academy. He then progressed to Parley Sports FC, a Dorset-based football club in the countryside of West Parley, before joining the use of the AFC Bournemouth Centre of Excellence. Despite being shy and calm outside the pitch, Eddie was a monster when playing the game. He was a ruthless defender who appeared to be one step ahead of other kids his age. This made him a regular with the Cherries Academy as he steadily progressed through the ranks. In his second year as a youth player, the 18-year-old received his first call-up to Bournemouth's first team. And you know what? He ended up winning the Man of the Match award in his debut against Hull City in December 1995. It looked like Eddie would have an outstanding career as a centre-back. He became an established player for the Cherries and built a strong connection with the club supporters. After 8 years with Bournemouth, Eddie joined Portsmouth for £400,000, a transfer that was necessary for the Cherries to financially survive. However, this move was a bad omen for the young defender. On his debut against Preston North End, Howe sustained a microfracture to his left knee, which prematurely ended his season. He had to undergo 2 separate operations, after which the surgeon broke the sad news to Eddie that he would never be able to play football competitively ever again. But the stubborn 24-year-old refused to accept this end, and in the following 2002-2003 season, Eddie made his return. Unfortunately, he only lasted 9 minutes before again being ruled out for the entire campaign. Eddie remained on the sidelines for 18 months, and then he was loaned to Swindon Town, where he did not make a single appearance. But that was not the end of Howe's playing career. In 2004, supporters of Bournemouth created a donation initiative called the Eddie Share. This gesture aimed to fund Eddie's permanent transfer back to their club. In a matter of days, these supporters raised a total of £21,000 and Eddie finally returned to the club that launched his career. He managed to stay for another 3 years with the club, making over 50 appearances in which he showed a glimpse of his talent. However, the player's decision to ignore the doctor's orders came back to bite him. At the age of 29, he was forced to prematurely retire as a result of his reoccurring injuries. Bournemouth didn't want to lose the expertise and dedication of Howe. Therefore, he was rewarded for his loyalty and his services to the Cherries with the opportunity of managing the reserve team. This is when the success story of the English Special One started. At first, Eddie didn't feel at ease in his new role. He was timid and kind of an introvert, and being a manager requires someone outgoing and not afraid to speak his mind. But steadily, Eddie started to fall in love with developing players and getting the best out of them. At 29 years old, Howe unwarily made his first step to becoming a head coach. Bournemouth had no budget to hire an opposition analyst before their FA Cup game against Nottingham Forest in 2006, so Eddie was told to do his job. He perfectly analysed the opponents and made crucial observations that proved vital in helping his team defeat Forest. Eddie was rewarded by being promoted to earn himself a place in Kevin Bond's Bournemouth coaching staff. However, by September 2008, Bond and his staff, including Eddie, were all dismissed. This decision didn't go down well with the Cherry supporters, as they thought that Eddie should have at least got the caretaker role. But just a few weeks later, the new manager, Jimmy Quinn, responded to the fans' demand and called Eddie back to take charge of the youth setup. After a series of negative results in a few weeks, Quinn also got the sack. This time the Cherries board decided to listen to their fans. On December 31st, 2008, they appointed Eddie as a caretaker manager. At the time, Bournemouth were trying to overturn a 17-point deficit after being accused of financial mismanagement. Surviving League Two was a near impossible job for any manager, let alone inexperienced Eddie Howe. The club was navigating through hell. They could not even afford water water or electricity, or even pay their players or rent training facilities. Still, Howe accepted to take the job on at the club that helped him have a football career. Eddie started managing Bournemouth without being paid. Despite improving the club's performances, the Cherries suffered multiple defeats. However, by March 2008, Eddie began to turn things around. He led the club to win 8 games and draw another 3 in 13 matches. Still, the players and staff weren't being paid in time, but Eddie ensured everyone acted as a family to overcome the tough times. Steadily, and thanks to a PFA loan, the team's salaries were finally fully paid. This boosted the team's spirit even further as Eddie defied all odds and led Bournemouth to secure their safety in the league. In the following 2009-2010 season, Howe recorded 8 wins out of his first 9 games. This made clubs like Crystal Palace and Southampton attempt to persuade the 33-year-old manager, who turned down different job offers he received, to remain loyal to his club. However, Howe was persuaded by people around him, encouraging him to take on a new challenge with a better club. Eventually, in 2011, Eddie accepted to be the new Burnley manager. He led the club to finish 8th in his first championship season and 13th in the following, but in October 2012, his relationship with the board went sour, resulting in him leaving the club for personal reasons. It was as if Howe couldn't wait to return to Bournemouth. In the same month of his departure from Burnley, Howe rejoined his old club and continued from where he left off. In the same season, he managed to lead the club to the championship, and in the following 2013-14 campaign, Howe's AFC Bournemouth finished 10th, 6 points outside the playoff position. But that was not the end of it. In April 2015, Eddie led his team to Premier League promotion for the first time in their history. This achievement earned Eddie the Football League Manager of the Decade award. Eddie kept Bournemouth in the Premier League for 4 consecutive seasons, finishing 9th in the 2016-2017 campaign. However, by the end of the 2019-20 season, the Cherries were relegated, and on August 2020, Howe left the club by mutual consent after 8 years in charge. In May 2021, Howe rejected an offer to become the manager of Celtic in the Scottish Premiership, and 6 months later he was announced as Newcastle United's new manager. To sum it up, Eddie took charge of the Magpies when they were 19th in the league, with just 5 points after 11 games, and by the end of the season Newcastle finished 11th, with Howe becoming the first manager to lead a club to safety after not winning any game of their first 14 matches. The following 2022-2023 season was even better for Newcastle, as Howe led them to their first EFL Cup final in over 23 years. But that wasn't enough. The Magpies finished 4th place and earned an automatic Champions League qualification for the first time since the 2002-2003 season. Eddie turned Newcastle into a tough team to break down. It's true that the recruitment of Isak, Bruno Guimaraes, Trippier, Burn and Pope raised the team's level. Still, Howe played a crucial role in utilising these players and even developing the squad he inherited from Steve Bruce. He invented a new box-to-box role for Joe Linton, who used to be a forward. He turned Callum Wilson into a goal-scoring machine. He launched the surprising rise of the Paraguayan winger Miguel Almiron, and was also responsible for players like Longstaff, Murphy, Scar and Willock rediscovering their form and having the season of their lives. Newcastle's Saudi owners must be thrilled with the successful appointment of Eddie Howe, as they rewarded the manager with the signature of AC Milan wonderboy Sandro Tonali for €70 million, making him the club's record transfer. Do you think Eddie Howe will go on to take Newcastle United to the top of the Premier League? Share your thoughts in the comments, and remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more footballing content. If you did enjoy today's video, why not check out the rise of Sandro Tonali? Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.